Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Motor Trade Radio podcast. Powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising. With Philip Nothard and Curtis Hutchinson, bringing you all the chatter that matters.
Well, January is soon moving on, Curtis.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but we're going out on the 13th of January, so we're sort of nudging towards the midpoint of the first month already.
You don't wish the year away, and the forecast of snow on the horizon at the minute. So
yeah. Well, we've had a bit of snow down south. Have you had any up there?
Not yet. No, I think we're stuck in the middle. I know Scotland have had their bit. You've had your bit. But I'm sat in the middle, still waiting at the minute. So
It'll find you. Don't worry.
Yeah. Still not got a new car for it. But anyway, that's a whole different story. Desperately trying to do something.
So next week we can have an update on rear-wheel drive in the snow, can't we?
Possibly.
In the games.
Yeah. So shout out. I am in the market, and I know I've had a conversation with a few people at the minute, but I am in the market to get myself some kind of SUV all-wheel drive. Because I shouldn't be going through another winter in my BMW 5 Series rear-wheel drive. Lovely car as it is. But shouldn't try and get through this winter without one.
Yeah, it's got to be four-wheel drive, I think, for you.
I need it, yes. But I'm hopefully getting there. It's not through want of trying, but anyway. So there's we've had a busy week again, Curtis. Still plenty going on, but I know that the new car figures are out this week. So we'll get onto that a little bit later. But
yes,
we'll do shout-outs first, don't we?
Yeah, lots to talk about this week, but you're right. We'll start with a couple of shout-outs, and the first one goes to friend of the pod, Robin Luscombe, who we wish him a speedy recovery. He was on LinkedIn this week saying that he's undergoing treatment for prostate cancer, and he was on LinkedIn sort of encouraging men, especially over 50s, to get themselves tested at least once a year for prostate cancer. So if you haven't done so already, do book yourself in for a PSA test. And we do wish Robin well, and an open invitation to come on the show when you're feeling better. Yeah,
all the best, Robin. I know you shared it through your Luscombe's, your diary that you put on LinkedIn. So I know you may be laid up listening to this. So I wish you all the best, and congratulations to the Luscombe team as well, because I know you've been down at the MG event, and I think Sam attended that and shared that you were won an award or nominated for an award by MG. So congratulations on continue doing the hard work that you do at Luscombe's, Suzuki and MG. So well done, and wish you all the best.
Yeah, definitely. And I reckon those guys need a bigger trophy cabinet, don't they?
They will, yes.
They've won so many awards over recent years. Another shout out is for our supplier specials. So if you're listening and you are a supplier working closely with dealers, would like us to profile your business and how you can help dealers, as part of our new series of Motor Trade Radio Supplier Specials, then just get in touch with myself or Philip by messaging us on LinkedIn or X, or send us an email to motortraderadio@yahoo.com, and we'll get back to you and see what we can do. Okay, headlines this week come from AM, Motor Trader, Car Dealer, and Motor Trade News, starting with new car market in 2023 grows to 1.9 million registrations. That's the highest level since the pandemic, while the new van market rises by 21% in 2023. As Cox Automotive forecasts rising new and used car sales for 2024. Also in the news this week, Kia joins the LCV sector with an all-electric lineup due in 2025. Fisker changed his mind on direct-only sales, and we've got news of 2 new Chinese brands heading to the UK in Q2.
Not more, everybody says.
Yeah, and two brand names that I wasn't aware of.
Fairly
So,
fresh, yes, yeah.
yeah.
But so we'll kick off first off with the new car market and what's happened in 2023. The first story is in AM Online, and this is that the Volkswagen dominated as UK new car sales reached 1.9 million. This is that Volkswagen dominated the UK sales market in 2023, ending the year with 162,087 registrations, giving them a market share of 8.52%, which is almost a whole percentage point ahead of their nearest rival Ford, who finished the year on 7.57%. So not a bad result overall, and VW there coming out on top for the year.
Yeah, I mean, a remarkable achievement really for VW. So this is the second year in a row, and I'm sure I was reading elsewhere in the press this week that VW are pretty much back to their pre-pandemic levels. So incredible turnaround there. And we won't say anything about Dieselgate.
Forgotten about it.
No, but staying with, I mean, the SMMT figures, they are interesting because it's December and full year. So December was actually up 9.8% year on year, and that was the 17th consecutive month of growth. But I guess what's more important is that the full year data. So as you say, 1.9 million registrations. So that's up 18% year on year. And looking at the SMMT's press release on this, they really do call out better model availability following those supply constraints that we saw in 2022. Really saw fleet sales jump, and oh boy, did they jump. So that they were actually up 38.7%, taking a 54.7% market share. So that's really what drove the market, what powered the market in 2023. Looking at retail, pretty static actually, just growth of 0.1%. So that was a 43% market share, down from 51% the year before when retail really did rally, and obviously before the impact of the cost of living crisis, high inflation and high interest rates began to bite.
Yeah, definitely, and they say it seems to be the key focus starting this year as well is that fleet market. But looking at the as always, the fuel performance is being called out, and this time in terms of what's been happening in that EV sector, because we know that the whole year, if you look at the complete year, BEV from 16.6% share in 2022 to 16.5% in 2023. So the BEV share actually fell marginally, only 0.1% down in terms of market share, but actually the volume was up 17.8%, up from 267,000 to 314,000. But you can see they lost a little bit of market share to plug-in hybrids, who rose from 6.3% market share up to 7.4% market share, and mild hybrid EV, where it went from 11.6% to 12.6%. So hybrid seemed to grow year on year from 22 into sort of 2023 there, but at the cost of a slight decline there for full battery electric plug-in vehicles.
Yeah, and that is interesting, isn't it? The volumes have gone up for BEVs, market share has gone down, and of course, this year the target is 20%. Otherwise, there's going to be some hefty fines kicking around for some of the OEMs that don't hit their targets. 2023, it's worth pointing out, it's a good year, obviously, good year for registrations, but still 17.7% below 2019's total of 2.3 million registrations. So that was the last full year before the impact of the pandemic. And I know we'll look at 2024 in a minute, but it's still a good showing, isn't it?
It is.
That's a positive market.
Yeah, and just before we move on to the motor trade, who talk about sort of some of the main winners in terms of models and marks on year-on-year performance, just from a European perspective, Germany still seems to be struggling against their counterparts. In December, they dropped 23% year on year with 242,000 registrations. Year on year, they did grow to 2.84 million, but that was only a 7.3% year on year growth compared to the UK's 17.9%. France finished in December 14.6% up to 181,000 registrations, but actually finished the year 16.1% up year on year from 2022 into 2023 there with 1.77 million registrations. Italy, slightly better in terms of year-on-year performance. December was up to 111,000 registrations, up 25.6%. And the full year at 1.57 million, up by 20.5%. And little old Spain there in December, up to 82,000 registrations. That was a growth of 10.7%. And a year full of 0.95 million, but 16.7% increase. So Germany still, dominating in terms of that European 5, in terms of total registrations, but struggling in terms of that growth in the full year compared to the UK and the other 3 European marketplaces.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how Germany tracks over the coming months, because as the biggest market in Europe, it really does sort of set the pace, doesn't it? It sets the tone for how well new car sales are going, how healthy markets are.
Yeah, there's a bit of pressure over in Germany at the minute. They are on the cusp or the warning of a recession, and there's quite a bit of negativity around performance taking place. But it's certainly one that one to watch very closely in Germany at the minute. A few challenges there.
So heading over to Motor Trader and just a little bit more on the new car sales figures for 2023, because they've had an interesting approach, different approach to how they've looked at the sales, because they've looked at the mark by mark and how they grew over the course of 2023. So there's an interesting table within the story which lists every single brand in the UK and how much growth, what their year-on-year growth or decline was. And top of the table is GWM, who grew by 1,239% year-on-year, albeit from a
standing start, isn't it? Yeah,
yes, standing start. Yeah, I was going to say a low base, but it was a non-existing base. So I think that that was around 900 units, just to give it a bit of context, but from zero. Followed by Cupra, which was up 78%, and Subaru up 73%, as well as a lot of the new entrants are sort of making themselves felt in these listings as well.
Yeah, and some standout there, Polestar now, was they've moved back into a physical dealer network alongside the Volvo with the Volvo dealer network. MG still continues to dominate in terms of growth, up 59.23%. And shout out to, again, Robin Luscombe that we talked about at the start of today, representing MG there, who, as I say, grew 59.23% year on year, but also Suzuki. Good old Dale White there, 52.92% year-on-year growth there for Suzuki. So you can see there's been some significant shifts up on the year-on-year growth, but unfortunately, Smart down 37.5%, DS struggling there at down 34.59%, Bentley 19.46% down. Fiat still seems to be having a bit of a torrid time. We were down 15.74%. So there are some heavy losers, but really dominated by gains overall across many of the marks, both new entrants and legacy OEMs there.
Yeah, definitely, and probably worth adding Tesla to that list
Mm.
of declines because they're actually down 9.25% year on year. And I was particularly interested to have a look at Mercedes because it was the first full year of agency for Mercedes-Benz, and they actually grew registrations by 8.5% to well, just shy of 88,000 units. So they'll be pleased with that, even if Smart did drop quite significantly.
Exactly. And talking about GWM and new entrants, there's a story in AM Online which is GWM Aura kickstarts year with 1,000 Funky Cat sales. Now, this is saying that GWM Aura UK has handed over its 1,000th Aura Funky Cat to a customer in Exeter who chose a first edition plus variant from City West. Now, this is a bit of a milestone for although we talk about low volumes and we mentioned their year-on-year growth, basically their first year of real registrations in the UK market there. But it's a milestone nevertheless, isn't it, to deliver that 1,000th car in the UK, which shows that mark and the opportunities and the growth opportunities for the brand.
Yeah, and we actually ran a story a couple of months ago, didn't we, about the rebranding that Aura are going to go through. So the days of the Funky Cat are pretty much numbered, aren't they? Because they've got new names. I can't remember what the new names are. I
No,
think they
can't
were
never
numbers,
know.
weren't
No.
they?
With the numbers, I think with
Yeah,
with the R
they
O
were
three,
numbers.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's they go into numbers, aren't they? So the Funky Cat is going to become the Aura 03. At least it's not the hashtag one that I think is it the Smart are using hashtags now for some of their models. But yeah, no, I mean it's still great. I mean again for the UK dealer network that have chosen to partner with GWM, it's a fantastic opportunity. We've seen what MG has managed to do in the UK market. We're watching obviously people like BYD in terms of their growth and their partnership plans with the UK dealer network that are all choosing to partner with dealers as their channel to market. Shows where there is opportunity for the dealers in terms of teaming up with some of these new entrances and opportunities there. So that's all great news.
Yeah, definitely. And interestingly, just as a footnote to that, within the AM story that we covered at the top of the show, they actually say that there were 20 car brands with less than a 1% market share of the new car market in 2023. So the battle for that 1% share and more in 2024 is going to intensify.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who that market share comes from. Isn't it? That's the key. Who's going to be losing market share to some of these new entrances that are coming in. Is where are they taking the registrations from
Yeah.
in 2024?
And just looking at the van market, because the SMMT also put out the figures for December and full year. So December market was up 36% to 29,700 units. And that's actually the best December since 2015. So it does show the strength of the recovery there. The new markets, new LCV markets for the year increased by 21%. So that was 59,300 units, with a total of 341,500 registrations over the course of the year. So a strong showing, and that's just to give it some context, that's just 6.6% below those pre-pandemic 2019 levels. So it just shows how that gap is now closing, certainly with a record year for battery electric vans, which were up 21%. So, a strong year there for van sales.
And we will talk about that shortly on the Kia story with their new van lineup, won't we?
Yeah, definitely. Now, next story is from Car Dealer, and the headline there is new and used sales will grow in 2024 despite economic pressure growing. And this is based on some forecasting that you guys at Cox Automotive have been doing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we sort of looked at the 2023 full year performance because we'd obviously in October of last year we'd launched the Insight report, and within that was the forecast for new and used car sales for 2024, whereas we are looking at a marginal increase in terms of new and used sales in 2024, not to the extent as what we've seen in 2023 compared to 2022, but we are forecasting a steady growth there. But really, we're trying to call out that, we're quite confident now of that forecast. Our 2023 forecast was within 0.96% of the actual result. So our baseline figure of 1.921 million registrations was I think 18,000 registrations out from the actual full year result. So it gives us confidence.
Close.
It was close,
yeah.
I mean, no, no prize, but yeah, just
you can give yourself a quiet pat on the back.
yeah. I mean, what it is saying is obviously some of the work, the analysis, the market sentiment, the conversations that I have with the sector in terms of what's taking place. We're looking at things like the economic marketplace, reports that we may see a marginal decrease in the base rate. If it isn't in March, then we should see a marginal drop in the Bank of England's base rate by at least May of this year by 0.25%. So the optimism is starting to return this year in terms of the economy. Inflation is marginally coming down. There's a push market now returns, as we've been talking about. You were just talking there, obviously, around these new entrances and the market share. So there's a bit of a battle going on. So we are fairly optimistic that we will see a marginal increase in 2024, even though we've still got some headwinds, we've still got some challenges, we've still got things like the ZEV mandate that will be challenging the marketplace in 2024. But all in all, we're forecasting a fairly stable and marginal recovery for 2024, which should give a little bit of optimism as to what to expect this year.
Yeah, and that really is positive. And as you say, that there are really three big unknown factors with the ZEV mandate, agency and how that plays out, and the new entrants that we keep returning to. So, a good positive forecast there.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll keep a close eye, and as a business, we'll always update as necessary from there.
So next headline is from Motor Trade News, and it is staff costs head list of dealer worries for 2024. So this is based on the January Startline used car tracker, and the used car tracker is a piece of research that we kind of revisit most months, don't we? Because it's a snapshot of what dealers are saying, what they're thinking, and within this month's research, almost half of the dealers, so that's 47%, believe that staff costs will be the biggest factor affecting their business over the course of this year. And other concerns are the cost of premises, which is 33%, and the potential for used car sales to fall, which is also 33%, and that may not align with some of the forecasts that we were just talking about.
Yes,
yeah. But I mean, as we start the new year, this is when the dealers would have been polled. They'll be looking at their stock, they'll be looking at demand, and maybe they're not feeling as upbeat as hopefully they will be over the coming weeks.
Yes, I mean that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, we started the new year. I think reality is that I think generally the new year has started a little bit slower than we may want. I think generally, we are looking at a slower start. I think there was the boost that we normally get in sort of October, November, ready for the new year hasn't really started. So you can understand from a dealer perspective there caution, should we say, towards the new year, not quite kicking off as we expect. But I think there is still a little bit of optimism there around that. But yeah, I think some of the dealers might be a little bit worried about, obviously, I mean, it's cited in here about falling income from servicing and after sales, saying that some dealers are worried about falling in income from servicing at 15% and after sales at 10%. So yeah, there's still a little bit of caution there across the sector towards what they're expecting in 2024.
Yeah, and just going back to that headline about staff costs, because within the piece, Paul Burgess, chief exec at Startline, does actually say that anecdotally, we know dealers have been having to pay more for staff, and that recruitment is an issue. This is something that has affected nearly all businesses, although there is some evidence that wage increases in the overall economy are beginning to soften. So definitely one to watch there.
Yeah, and you can understand why, can't you? I mean, there is a bit of a battle on there for staff, and in terms of that price war and everything else, and salary pressures that are taking place. But yeah, I think we still got, as we said before. I mean, we said about headwinds, didn't we, towards 2024 performance, and cost of living, interest rates still playing a big part, and mortgage costs and things like that still playing into these headwinds for the year. But we'll see. We'll keep a close eye on it, won't we, Curtis?
We will indeed.
You're listening to all the chatter that matters on Motor Trade Radio. Powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising. This is your weekly one-stop shop for all the biggest car retailing headlines from across the media, available on demand, wherever you are on your podcast feed.
Next headline is from Fleet News, and it's Kia reveals electric van lineup ahead of 2025 launch. Now, this story got a lot of coverage over the course of the week, and I think a lot of it was on the back of Kia having their annual dealer conference last week, and I think a lot of the information was shared at the event. But so what they've done is they've shown effectively four concepts, which will form the basis of commercial vehicles that will enter the UK market in 2025. And it's significant for two reasons, because these will be Kia's first commercial vehicles for the UK, and they're all electric.
Yeah, I mean, if you know, if you followed anybody on social media that is involved with Kia, I mean, John O'Hanlon obviously represents Kia, and they are really optimistic about this. One, as you say, their first entrance into that LCV sector for Kia. I mean, coming straight in with a 4-model lineup as well. Obviously, early staged entrance there, and again, as you said before, this straight in with the EV market really starts to position them very strongly in the sector, doesn't it? I mean, coming in with that model, how successful they've been generally in cars around EV. But actually to come in and put that technology into the LCV sector and really go straight away with, LCVs as an EV proposition is a strong strategy from them.
Yeah, and if you're a Kia dealer, I should imagine you're going to be absolutely delighted, and won't be able to wait to get your hands on these models, because it does open up a whole new marketplace for each and every Kia dealer.
Yeah, and it's quoted in the story here saying that Kia has developed what they call an easy swap technology to flexibly address the diverse demands of customers, and saying that it means that a single vehicle chassis can be used to fulfill multiple mobility needs. So saying that behind a fixed bulk, a fixed cabin, or a driver zone, a variety of interchangeable upper bodies or life modules, as they described it, can be connected to the base vehicle via a hybrid electromagnetic and mechanical coupling technology, saying that it's turning the PBV into a taxi during the day and to a delivery van at night, and then a personal recreation vehicle at weekend. That's something else, Curtis.
Well, there you go, Phil.
Yeah.
You're looking around for a new vehicle. I can see you in one of those.
I mean, if
Has it
this
got
works,
four-wheel
that's
drive?
something else, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that it remains to be seen, but I think the fact that, you can take it from a passenger vehicle in the day to a delivery vehicle in the evening and a recreational vehicle, which I'm presuming like a camper van kind of style at the weekends, you'd need a garage. I think, for that one,
Yes.
Curtin.
Yeah.
Not sure it's any good for me, but my apartment. But I think what a fantastic idea for that multifunctional usage of a vehicle.
Yeah, definitely. And judging by the photographs that have been released, they don't look too sort of futuristic. These concepts look as though they're pretty much based on what the production models will actually look like. So, lots more to come on that.
Yeah, definitely. So one we'll share about. So when we get some interviews on, we'll try and get John O'Hanlon in the next month or two and get his view on what his thoughts were when he actually saw these concepts and what he sees for the future of Kia.
Yeah, definitely. And next headline is from AM Online, and it's Fisker changes tack on distribution strategy. So this is Fisker. We've already talked about new entrants. This is the US-based electric car company based in California, who entered the UK. I think it was last summer, actually. They've got an experience centre or an experience lounge in the Westfield Shopping Centre in White City in London. So they currently only have one outlet. But when they launched internationally, it was very much on the sort of direct sales channel route. That's how they were going to sell their models. It was going to be online, and they were going to have a number of owned fulfillment locations, but they've now looked at that, and what they're going to do now is actually form partnerships with dealers, so that they will be looking for dealer partners in America, Canada, Europe, and the UK.
Yeah, I mean, again, if we look at other new entrants to it, whether that's, as we talked about earlier on, with GWM, or whether that's the BYD and others that have thought, well, it's an easier and more efficient route to market by partnering with existing dealers in their marketplace. It gives them a physical footprint, it gives them an infrastructure, it gives them an aftermarket setup immediately as they get to sort of build their brand at the same time. So you can understand why they're doing this. It's more cost efficient as well, rather than creating your own brand direct to consumer and then trying to support your own in physical infrastructure to support that digital proposition. So, I think for someone like Fisker, it's probably a more cost-effective route to market, and at the same time gives dealers that revenue earning opportunity to work with these new entrants in terms of getting to market. So, I've seen the new Ocean that's recently been launched and been in place for ordering. It is that larger SUV EV product. So it's going to be interesting when we start to see this roll out and we start to see that brand, that physical dealer partnerships, and who will start to partner, particularly in the UK dealer market, who's going to start to represent Fisker in the sector.
Yeah, because the numbers aren't big. They're talking about 50 dealer partners in the US and Canada, and a similar number of dealer locations in Europe this year. So we're only talking about 50 across Europe. So I'm assuming they're going to be sort of big city centres. They'll be looking at the big conurbations to locate these dealerships.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they go for that prestige sector, that kind of thing. I mean, they've obviously their Fisker Lounge, as you said, there is down in London there, isn't it? So it'd be interesting to see who they partner with and what their channel to market is. Whether it's we know people like Peter Vardy's and others have taken on the GWM, but it'll be interesting to see who does take on the Fisker, because the UK market, they're talking obviously vehicles starting at 60,000. So in fact, I think they've dropped the price of the Ocean in the UK, saying that it's gone from 60,000 to 57,000. It'll be interesting to who does take on that and how many they do partner with in the UK market.
And talking of new entrants, we've got
No.
Our last story this week, we've got two new entrants. So the headline comes from AM Online, and it's Innovation Automotive to import Chinese Series and Skywell car brands. Now, Phil, these are both new names to me. I don't know if you'd heard of them before, had you?
The only one I'd kind of heard of was Skywell, and that's because Andy Barrett, friend of the podcast,
Of course.
did spend a little bit of time as a managing director over in Dubai area, I think it was, for Skywell, which is why that one did ring a bell. But yeah, I think again, I mean, we'll be doing the brand recognition survey, won't we, again soon, and see
Yes.
adding these additional names. But as you say there, Innovation Automotive, they've been designated as the official distributor for the Chinese brands in terms of Series and Skywell for the UK. They're operating under the name of IA Electric Vehicles. So they are coming to the UK. And they're saying that anticipate introducing the Series and Skywell brands in the second quarter of this year. So moving very quickly there. And the story goes on to say that the Chinese Series group, through the California-based manufacturer, is set to unveil its first UK model. It's the Series 3 electric SUV. It will be priced just under £30,000, and that will be announced in April of this year. So moving very quickly with this one.
Yeah, Series 3, that's got a catchy name, hasn't it?
I heard
I've heard that before somewhere. Yeah, and probably worth just saying that Innovation Automotive, some listeners will be familiar with them because they already import the DFSK electric van lineup in the UK, and DFSK is actually part of the Series group, so they already had that link with Series. And with Skywell, so that's another fast-growing Chinese automotive brand. So the plans there are to launch a premium mid-size SUV, which will be the Skywell ET5 with a range of 300 miles, and that's coming here in the summer. So, you know, that's two brands launched in quick succession, really, over the course of, certainly Q2.
Yeah, and it looks like we don't know, obviously the pricing they're saying is yet to be confirmed for the Skywell, but say, they're for a Series 3 in terms of that SUV being priced at less than £30,000. That's coming in at an entry cost point, isn't it, which is a positive for that, for particularly in that private registration sector for EVs, because it's that cost entry point of EVs that's been some of the challenges around private adoption of battery electric vehicles, particularly in that more premium SUV sector. So that's a positive that it's coming in that affordable entry point into the UK.
Yeah, definitely. But you know what, Phil? We've reached the end of this week's show. That is all for now. So many thanks for joining us on the Motor Trade Radio podcast. Until next week, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Thank you for listening to the Motor Trade Radio podcast, powered by Motors, the driving force behind multi-site advertising. We'll be sharing all the URLs from this week's headlines on Monday morning. To make sure you receive them, just subscribe to the free newsletter on our LinkedIn page. Just search Motor Trade Radio Podcast.